This is a trade recap for Thursday, April 30th, 2026. Number 10 of 10 for phase 4 of One and Done. Our exercise in building discipline and consistency, developed by my coach and mentor, Pat Mitchell, over at Trick Trades. Now, with that being said, say we had a pretty normal-ish morning in the markets. Looked like we were going to get some volatility. But again, it's one of those things where this is what the market does. Especially trading around all-time highs, it can get a little squirrely. But again, having a coach and mentor that's experienced, that knows what they're doing to guide you through kind of these different market conditions is worth its weight in gold. And it helps you absorb that knowledge and really, again, develop yourself as a trader when we have these situations or different states of the market. And this market won't always be in this state. So again, learn while, again, you have that opportunity. And there's nothing wrong with that. Can't be, quote unquote, always an easy market, so to speak. But if you have a sound strategy and a sound plan like Pat has developed, doesn't really matter the market conditions. You can capitalize on it irregardless. So with that being said, if you are a new or struggling day trader and you are looking for that high-level coach and mentor, you know I recommend Pat Mitchell over at Trick Trades. You can find him at tricktrades.com. You can read up on the service as well as his background. He's been at this for over a decade now, so he really does know his stuff, and he proves that day in, day out, live on screen share every day of the week. And if you'd like a sampling of the information he does offer, he does have a YouTube page. You can find over 1,700 videos there with an entire wealth of information. It's one of those things where, again, you're not really going to be able to find this level and quality of information anywhere else. And you'd be, again, fairly challenged in going through every single one of those videos, pulling out the information and putting all the pieces together. So I do recommend learning directly from the man himself on a daily basis. If it's just something you're potentially interested in, check the description below. There will be a couple of links to the memberships to save you a little bit of money on your first month, so you can give the service a shot, see if it's what you're looking for. One caveat: it is an education service, not an alert service. If that is what you are expecting, alerts, one, they don't work, and two, that is not what is done by Pat. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this morning's recording. So, for this morning, we were, actually, if you're new here, just kind of how this way lays out. Top row is SPY, bottom row is Qs. Only two tickers we trade. They're the most liquid ETFs basically on the market. So, don't have to worry about any of the typical penny stock bullshit. On the left here is our daily chart. In the middle, our 1 minute intraday chart. And then I keep my order execution here on the right because I look at all more or less on one screen so I can keep it all, easily in view. These blue levels you see here are the levels that Pat starts or plots out starting the night before and refining the morning of to build our trade plans around. And when he builds these trade plans and sets these levels, they do not move for any reason. They are static. And from there, again, the plan is given to, again, the room, and we simply execute. And then Pat will give lessons and, again, stuff like that during the live session and all that stuff. So this is the recording about 10 seconds before the opening, looking at both SPY and Qs on their respective levels, seeing exactly how we're going to interact. This is just me marking out, again, some levels of interest from pre-market ranges, things like that, potential profit targets, technical levels. So we open up, see if we get that pop to actually go short on SPY, which is kind of what we initially wanted. But again, we started kind of coming right down, and Qs actually like we were going to get that long trigger on Qs. Wasn't again, we were advised to be cautious with this long, simply because of the room it has to come down. But it comes down right into the level. So again, you just kind of wait, watch, see what happens. Is there a potential trade there? Yeah, you get a little bit of a reaction, maybe. But again, we really weren't looking at this one as a strong long, so we were almost advised to kind of stay away from that one. So that is what we did. Now, again, if we got a slice, nice solid slice through, come back up to test, and then come down, again, there would have been a short opportunity there, but I didn't quite give that range either, and SPY is continuing to come down. Let's step it forward so you can see. And we do get a little bit of reaction back up to get close enough to start in on that on cues for the short. Not really. But going to get things kind of switched around, see what happens. Starts coming up a little bit more. It's getting close, but where risk is, it's one of those things where it's like you got to be conscious of that. Does it work? Yeah. Going to get switched over to the long for cues. So going to come down into the level. As it approaches, enter in with 1. See if I can get an add there at the level. Coming into the level now. Go ahead and add 1, so in with 2. So that's the full size starter. So it's one of those things we're just going to let this see what happens here, because I don't want to get oversized with how this is selling off and how close we're getting into the 5 on the dailies for both SPY and Qs. It may, again, as Pat advised, magnet into it. So it's something you do need to be conscious of with that. So we get a reaction, going to start peeling out, sold 1. Get a little bit of a stretch there. Playing with that kind of pre-market range a little bit. SPY still has a little bit of range it can come up into. So trying to be patient with this one. So on that next kind of push up, go ahead and peel that one off. Now we're just going to kind of watch and wait, see what it does, see if it gives that opportunity to re-enter. Comes back down into the level itself, not going to take it at the level. Starts making a lower low. SPY is now coming down towards its level in the 5. And that's kind of what I'm actually working off of. I'm taking the trade on cues, but I'm watching SPY for the continuation of that trade, because that was the first to trigger. Was SPY kind of more of an ideal long? So I entered with 1 there as SPY's getting closer. Do have a kind of a technical level there at risk for some protection, but keeping, again, very kind of close to the chest. Not going to get oversized. We're getting a little bit of a reaction, but ultimately it does want to move lower. This is where SPY is kind of coming into that more ideal trade, but not the first to trigger. Went ahead and corrected at my risk level, which was a technical level. Starts coming through a little bit. We do have the 5 down below. SPY is now coming into its 5 in the level, so I'm just giving it a little bit of wiggle room here. Still hasn't confirmed below risk, so again, you wouldn't stop out anyway. Starts getting sucked up. SPY getting a little bit of a reaction there at the level. Starts moving up a little bit. SPY can move up to test that. Again, pre-market level. Qs can also come up to test the prior close and that struck blue level as well. Got close. SPY's now at that level, so gonna kind of see, just give it a moment to see what it does. Go ahead and peel out there as it's coming into the level, because you have to pay yourself into these levels, especially those major levels, and took the second one off there as well, because SPY broke through, so we got a nice good pop, and it could easily reject there. So it's one of those things where, did it come higher? Yes. And then it turned around, and kind of started playing with the level itself. And then ultimately does come back down. So I'll go ahead and get into the actual chart. So here's the entries right here. As you can see, it kind of came down lower and lower. So you would have ended up ultimately getting stopped out if you failed to pay yourself. Now, both trades worked as they typically do. The testament to Pat and both his strategy and his trade plans. Market gives opportunities daily basis, typically in both directions. So it's one of those things where there should be again, if you happen to miss a trade and you miss a trade, it's one of those things. That's not the end of the world. If you happen to stop out a trade, you stop out of a trade. It happens. It's one of those things where, as we were kind of learning this and going about, this journey of learning day trading, you kind of just, as Pat would say, surrender to the process, or just surrender to what is. And you just follow the strategy, follow the trade plans, keep yourself in check. And there's one of those things where it's like what you take what is from the outside looking in very hard to something that is actually fairly easy, as Pat has been, again, talking about over the past week or so. This is where we make this significantly more difficult on ourselves than is necessary. And sometimes just learning to let go and just follow the process is one of the easiest things to do. And it really does make a difference. So with that being said, this was number 10 of 10 for this phase of one and done. We're using a size of 5 to 7. And now for the next one, we're going to jump up to 7 to 9, which is where I'm at in the size up program. So back to what I'm normally allowed to trade. But I'll get more into that kind of into the recap and how we're going to approach that as we go forward. But all in all, good day. Another green trade. P&L on that one was $44. I know most people will be like, hey, nothing stellar, but hey, it worked. But again, still building a small account. And that's one of those things where it's a process and we will get there. So hope everyone else had a good morning and enjoys the rest of your day. And I'll probably do a recap here in a little bit on the next phase, or what we accomplished in this phase, as well as the next phase of one and done. Now I will leave it at that and catch you guys later. And have a good one. Later.